I'm Monkey D. Luffy. And I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel Paws On Animation and our Paws On Netflix segment.
Today we're covering the new live-action One Piece series, or at least the first season.
Yes, and the series' first season adapts the first arc of the One Piece anime, and we're so happy to say that after 50 failed attempts prior, Netflix finally got a live-action adaptation right.
Yes, and before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button on future podcasts and Moto Pause videos.
Absolutely. Now, both of us, like we're sure many of you, were skeptical about this turning out good. And it's so funny because Rascal, up until the last episode, kept waiting for something to go wrong.
Right.
By the first episode, I knew that they had done it right. And yes, there are some things that are not one-to-one to the anime and probably not to the manga either. But in terms of making it cohesive, enjoyable, fun, pretty much available to watch for a wide range of ages. Until you get to like the last episode, they used the F-bomb one time and then they show it visually.
Right.
They've done a really great job.
Yes. And the season right now is 8 episodes, and all of them round out to almost an hour or slightly over an hour each. First episode being, I think, an hour and 6 minutes, and the rest being over 50 minutes. And the format for the first 4 or 5 episodes is that they introduce a different Straw Hat each episode and compile their entire arc up to them joining the crew in one episode, then move on to the next one for 4 episodes.
Definitely. So quickly, the genres that it fits into, according to Netflix, are action adventure, comedy, drama, fantasy, and swashbuckler. It's based on the One Piece manga by Ichiro Oda, who also was involved in the production of this live-action series. And it was developed by Matt Owens and Steve Maeda. And it's a live adaptation of the ongoing 1997 Japanese manga. So we know that it's taking its source material from the manga rather than the anime.
Right.
So there may account for some differences as well.
Right.
And very quickly, it's produced by Kaiju Productions, Tomorrow Studios, and Shueisha, who also publishes the manga.
Right. And for the series itself, they have heavily advertised this since early last year. And this was done by Tomorrow Studios in terms of the production, distributed on Netflix. And a lot of people were very hesitant because it was the same studio that Cowboy Bebop, and that became a crime against anime and all anime fans. Yeah, and humanity as a whole. So when they announced they were doing One Piece, also for some they thought it was gonna be just as awful, and some like, oh, they're gonna get this one right, and it was a very strange kind of reaction after what they just witnessed. Oh, well, this was gonna be right after they just had that.
Well, it looks like they were right.
I guess so. So now that we've had this one, there is actually hope for them to do other anime live-action adaptations correctly. If they got one right, that means they can do others right.
Absolutely. So before we get into covering it, I want to say 2 things that I did mention to Rascal yesterday. One, that means Netflix actually does listen to its viewers and its fans, which is really good because that puts them now in the same category as Sony and Sega listening for their live-action Sonic movies. And that's a really good thing because if you don't satisfy your viewers and they don't watch your content, you're not making any money.
Right.
So watching this, you're happy to give them your money for Netflix if you keep putting out live-action content like this adaptation. And number 2, it gives me so much hope for the MHA live-action adaptation. I know that it's a different production company.
Yeah, it's gonna be Legacy Pictures that did Detective Pikachu, and the director who did Bleach and other Japanese-only movies. So we'll see how the combination goes.
But it gives you hope because Netflix is involved in the production of these productions.
Right.
And so seeing this, that gives you so much hope that we're gonna end up loving what happens for MHA, because before this, we were all just like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But they've clearly shown they can competently do a live action adaptation. And this is now one of the top 3 that we've seen personally. Our number 1 being the Psyche K, no Sainan.
Right.
And this would now be number 2.
Right.
And number 3, the Seraph of the End live action play.
Yeah. So for here as well, they try to compile a bunch of mini arcs into one complete story. And there are a few points in here where they actually do cut out quite a bit, and probably understand because they went on for several episodes at a time, so you understand we have to trim those down for time. There were ones that were cut out because I guess they didn't apply to the main story. Like for this one, they don't battle Don Krieg. They actually kill him off. You know, he had 2 minutes on screen and he was immediately killed off, so they've taken out his arc. And they trimmed down other arcs that lead into the Arlong arc. So my guess is they needed to slow it down so that way they could fit in backstory, the adventure, the action stuff, so it still flows as one story. The only major thing they really have changed aside from that is they reveal Luffy's grandfather really in the very beginning of the series instead of way down the line. So for ones who may not have read it yet, well, you're gonna know now ahead of time.
Definitely. Now they have a great cast. Actually, none of these, well, we only knew one person, Makinyu, who had been in the Full Metal Alchemist adaptation as well as Mortal Kombat.
Right.
But the cast stars Inaki Godoy, Emily Rudd, Makinyu, Vincent Reagan, Jeff Ward, Morgan Davies, Jacob Romero Gibson, Taz Skylar, and narrated by the incomparable Ian McShane.
Right.
That was a great, great surprise.
Right.
And his voice fits perfectly for the narration. And I have to say that the entire cast, including secondary characters and extras, all did a fantastic job. We didn't watch the screen looking, sometimes, you know, you can watch a production and you're looking at it like, okay, this person doesn't fit, this one didn't work, why did they do this? This person isn't doing a great job acting. But I'm happy to say that while we're watching this, we weren't feeling that way about anyone.
Right.
We were feeling there were a couple things that could have been better that we'll touch on right at the end. But other than that, everyone did a fantastic job.
Right.
They really did a great job choosing the cast. Of course, Luffy being the best fit, the actor playing Luffy.
Yeah, pretty much. And he did actually look like the character. He acted like him most of the time. And they even made sure to put in the effects of him using his gum powers. And I guess the only thing that was a little off was that he didn't eat much.
Yeah.
Which was odd because Luffy eats a ton until he's big as a house. And here he barely ate. And you know, he talked about meat and fish and stuff. It was a little, that was the only thing that was off.
And even if they had used special effects to do it, I would have been happy with that. You're right. I did miss that. It's like watching Scoob with Scooby and Shaggy not eating. It was like, what the heck is this?
Right.
That did not fit the character very true. So that could have been better.
Right. And for the others, if they didn't start off well, they improved as they went on. Nami would actually sounded like Nami's voice actress.
Yeah, definitely.
And Zoro was mostly the deadpan up until near the last few episodes where he actually had a smile and some different emotions. He kind of stayed one look the whole time. Not sure if that was the decision they decided to do or if that's just what he chose to do.
And I kind of think that was supposed to maybe convey how he was standoffish and he didn't trust people. He had no friends except for the girl who passed.
Right.
And then once he got closer to them, then he opened up. And I kind of think that's what it was meant to convey.
Right.
But yes, you're right.
And then you had Usopp, who looked spot on. That was
crazy.
And they just took out the nose because they knew they didn't want any controversies, especially with recent stuff with Bradley Cooper. They decided, let's just take it all together and just have them look normal, and they were fine.
Wise decision.
And Sanji at least was passable, and they were missing, the only thing they were missing was the goatee, and he had a real thick accent in here that started lighting as it got to the end of the season. And he did pull off all the kicking moves, majority of the kicking moves. So at least they tried most of the time to get the characteristics right.
And I'm gonna say Sanji was more than passable. At first, when he first arrived, it was a little off-putting because, like you said, he didn't have the goatee thing, the accent things didn't kind of line up. But by the second episode he was in, I was used to him as Sanji. Like you said, the kicks and the special effects were great. He seemed to have an affable personality that came through in his acting. They even made sure to put the hair over the eye. So, no, none of the characters, except for Luffy, really exactly look like the characters. But I think as far as casting, they were spot on. And Sanji the actor doing Sanji was the Taz Skylar. I think he did a good job. So I think it was more than passable. I think he did a great job, and I do believe season 2 is inevitable, like we've been seeing on X, and that by the time they get to season 2, they'll be even more into character, and their performances will only get better. And I hope Netflix sticks with whatever they did to get this live action adaptation the quality it is, and they don't go in another direction or decide to change it. This worked perfectly. Don't screw it up, Netflix. If you're listening, stick with what is working and don't start coloring outside your lines.
Right.
You've made the lines. Stay in the lines. Keep these actors. Don't change anyone out. And keep giving us more of what you're giving us here.
Right.
One thing I want to point out quickly is the composers. They had Sonia Belasova and Gloria Ostinelli. That kind of was a disappointment for me in terms of the music, because I really wanted to hear music from the anime.
Right.
I really was
We were
looking
waiting
forward
for
to
that. And they had the instrumental a little bit where it was more orchestrated, but it wasn't the same as hearing them come aboard and bring along. You weren't hearing that the time. You were just hearing the notes of it in the background. And I think they wanted to make it feel like more a swashbuckling show and have it lean more towards Pirates of the Caribbean and have it feel like you're watching a pirate show. So I'm guessing that's why they didn't use the older songs and the original soundtrack for that.
Possibly.
And the tone is also a little more serious in here. There are some fun moments, but all the comedy, a majority of the comedy you had in the anime when they were fighting and stuff and saying things back and forth and banter, not in here as much as the anime, and I guess they had to make it more serious because it was in a real life setting.
Very true. Now the production location was South Africa, and if you've watched this, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. They took a lot of time and put a lot of investment in getting the setting to look right, the stage, the boat, or the ship I should say, sorry, and everything looked fantastic. You were looking at the costumes, you were looking at everything, and there's nothing that you could look at and say, well, this stood out as not being right or incorrect. Everything looked great. Again, they spent a whole lot of time and effort and investment in getting it to this top quality tier. Netflix, please keep season 2 at the same top quality. And I hope they produce it in the same location. It's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful to look at.
I think they shot in South Africa.
Yeah, to say that. So it was absolutely beautiful to look at. And again, costumes were spot on. What we thought was funny is that in here, all the characters had costume changes. They didn't wear the same clothes throughout.
Right. I guess they wanted to feel cartoony, so they said, okay, we'll give them different little outfits and things to wear every other episode. So there you go.
So quickly, the premise of this live-action adaptation is a series following the adventures of the Straw Hat Pirates as they explore the dangerous oceans, lands, and beyond in search of the one piece of fabled treasure that will make their captain, Monkey D. Luffy, king of the pirates. The rings are on their ship's tail, and then not only the crew searching for the one piece. Armed with skills and unbreakable friendship, the Straw Hats are ready for the journey and even more ready to fight for their dreams together. And I think that was a really huge message in here that they stayed with that was great, is that believing in yourself, investing in yourself, following your dreams, not letting anyone dictate to you what you can or should and shouldn't do, and taking away what could possibly be your destiny that you've chosen. And I do like that that was the theme throughout out, because it's that same theme throughout in the anime. And I love that it was front and center for this adaptation, because that's the biggest message in here. Luffy is exuberant and happy and stubborn, as his grandpa calls him, and determined to be the king of the pirates. He says it's always been his dream, and that's what he's going to do. And that's kind of it really is the attitude that each of us should have in doing the things we love and want to do. And it's not just for this imaginary fantasy setting. It's a great lesson for life. So Aichiro Oda makes a good message come through in here, as well as he does in the manga and in the anime.
Right.
So, if you have seen the One Piece live action adaptation on Netflix, and we hope you have, please let us know in the comments below. Were you happy with it? Was it mad to you? Was it okay? Or did you love it like I do? Please let us know in the comments below.
And if you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for updates on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And last but not least, if you are on the fence or you're thinking it's not worth investing your time, and especially if you're a huge One Piece fan, you've read the manga and or seen the anime, this is worth your time of watching it. It is absolutely fantastic. Netflix has outdone themselves in the crew, the writers, the producers, the actors. Everything came together in something Netflix can really be proud of. And we know they're going to be haters, because there always are, but don't listen to them. This is something you should definitely invest your time in watching all 8 episodes. We always tell you the truth. We like to let you know when we like something, when we don't, and we're telling you that you really got to give this a chance if you haven't. If you don't, you really are denying yourself of the experience. You're not going to get anywhere else.
Right.
So thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you tuning in for this. We love you guys, and just like the live adaptation says, be sure to follow your dreams, invest in yourself, because you're worth that.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.